What if the things you throw away could become the most beautiful part of your home? What if a simple plastic bottle or an old piece of fabric could turn your small garden into something extraordinary? Today, we'll explore how everyday waste can bloom into wonder. Simple, beautiful, and made by your own hands. Welcome to Simply DIY, where creativity meets simplicity. In this video, we'll uncover unbelievable DIY upcycling ideas using plastic bottles and old fabrics to create stunning small garden borders, fences, and tiny patio decor. These images are not final results, they're pure inspiration for you. Take the ideas, reshape them, and use what you already have to make them real in your own world. And before we begin, maybe to you, I'm just another voice on a screen. But behind this, there's a story, and a family who believes in small dreams. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly keeps that dream alive. Thank you for being here, and for seeing us. Imagine standing in your small backyard on a quiet Sunday morning. The air feels fresh, the grass still damp with dew, and the sunlight dances softly across the soil. Along the edge of your garden, a row of bright plastic bottles glimmers, green, blue, and amber, reborn as a charming garden border. At first glance, it's simple. But look closer, and you'll see how each bottle carries a story of transformation. Once forgotten trash, now standing proudly as part of a living, breathing garden. Some are cut neatly in half, planted with small daisies and wild herbs. Others are turned upside down, their bottoms painted white to reflect the sunlight and protect the soil's edge. Creating these borders doesn't need special tools or fancy materials. Just patience, creativity, and the will to make something beautiful out of what others throw away. Fill the bottles halfway with soil before placing them. It keeps them steady even in the rain. Try mixing transparent and colored bottles. The sunlight will bring them to life like glass gems in the earth. And when you water your plants, listen. You'll hear the soft trickle sliding between the bottles, echoing gently against the soil, reminding you that nature never wastes anything, it only transforms. So next time you hold an empty plastic bottle, don't rush to throw it away. It might just be waiting to frame the garden of your dreams. There's something magical about the moment when waste turns into wonder. Picture a small backyard kissed by sunlight, where a fence made of old bottles and fabric stands quietly, shimmering with colors that once belonged to forgotten things. Each bottle catches the light like glass pearls, while strips of fabric dance softly in the breeze. Fragments of old shirts, tablecloths, or curtains, now reborn with purpose. This fence isn't just decoration, it's a story of patience and gentle hands. It teaches us that beauty often hides in what we overlook. Making one is simpler than it seems. Rinse the bottles, line them on a thin wooden frame, then weave old fabric through them. Try earthy tones if you love calm, or mix bright colors for a playful garden touch. The weaving doesn't have to be perfect. Let it flow, let it breathe, like nature itself. When the wind passes through, you'll hear a faint rustle of fabric and the soft clink of bottles, as if the garden is whispering gratitude for being cared for again. Over time, the sun will fade the fabric, and the bottles will collect dust, but that's part of the charm. It grows old with you, gracefully. So next time you see an empty plastic bottle or a torn piece of cloth, don't rush to throw them away. Imagine them together, woven not only by your hands, but by your intention, to create, to reuse, and to let your garden tell a quieter, kinder story. There's a quiet beauty in small spaces. A tiny patio, a bit of sunlight, and the sound of leaves swaying in the breeze. Sometimes that's all you need to feel alive. Imagine standing beneath a wooden beam where rows of old plastic bottles hang gracefully, now transformed into planters. They sway gently, wrapped in soft fabric, each one holding a burst of green life. These bottles once held water, soda, maybe something long forgotten. Now, they cradle herbs, flowers, and succulents, bringing color and calm to even the smallest corners. The beauty of this idea lies not only in the transformation but in the rhythm it brings to your daily life. You don't need a wide garden or expensive pots. Just a few bottles, some fabric, and a bit of imagination. Cut the bottles horizontally, smooth the edges, wrap them with fabric to add warmth, then tie them with rope or old twine. Hang them where sunlight touches gently, near a wall, above a window, or under your porch beam. If you plant herbs like mint, basil, or thyme, your mornings will always greet you with a soft fragrance of life. What makes these hanging planters special is their intimacy. They don't shout for attention. They whisper serenity, an invitation to slow down, to care for something small, and to realize that beauty doesn't always need grand space. It simply needs your hands, a few bottles, and the patience to nurture. When you water them and see droplets fall onto the patio floor, you'll understand. Sometimes the smallest garden can bring the greatest peace. When the day fades and the first stars begin to shimmer, there's a certain peace that only a backyard can hold. The air turns gentler, the world slows down, and a soft glow begins to rise. Not from expensive lamps or fancy bulbs, but from humble plastic bottles, reborn as lanterns of light. Each one carries a quiet warmth, glowing softly through layers of translucent fabric or brushed paint. These aren't just lanterns, they are tiny pieces of hope, made by your own hands. You don't need much to bring this magic to life. A few clean bottles, a small LED light or candle, and a bit of imagination. Cut the bottles carefully, smooth the edges, and wrap them with old cloth or lace. When the lights flicker within, they cast patterns that dance like whispers across the garden. Hang them from trees, along fences, or above your patio table. Their glow will transform even the simplest backyard into a sanctuary of calm. The trick is to keep it subtle, warm yellow tones instead of harsh light, soft fabric instead of plastic shine. It's about creating atmosphere, not brightness. And as the night deepens, you'll notice how the lights sway gently in the wind, how their reflections play on the leaves, and how every bottle seems to tell its own story. A story of renewal, of care, of finding beauty where the world saw waste. Sometimes, peace doesn't come from what you buy, it comes from what you make, quietly, with your own two hands, under the fading sky. There's a special kind of charm in gardens that climb instead of spread, where life grows upward, reaching for sunlight like a quiet prayer. Imagine standing before a wooden wall, its surface once plain and empty, now alive with layers of old fabric, stitched with care and filled with green. Pockets that once belonged to worn-out jeans or rice sacks now cradle tiny bursts of life. Herbs, flowers, and trailing vines swaying softly in the breeze. A mini vertical garden doesn't need much space. It's perfect for those who live in small homes or apartments with only a little sunlight to spare. You can start with old fabric, denim, burlap, or cotton. Sew small pockets, hang them on a frame or fence, and fill them with soil and seeds. Herbs like basil, mint, or thyme thrive beautifully here, bringing both fragrance and freshness to your walls. And if you plant flowers, choose those that bloom in layers, marigolds, pansies, or small petunias that dance with color through the seasons. What makes this project so heartwarming is how personal it feels. Each pocket tells a story, of old clothes, old days, maybe even old memories, now reborn to hold new life. You'll find yourself watering them slowly, touching the leaves, watching how roots begin to stretch within the fabric. It's an act of patience, a small ritual of renewal. Soon, your wall will hum with the sound of bees and the scent of herbs. And in that moment, you'll realize, even the smallest space can bloom beautifully when given a chance to breathe again. When daylight fades and the first glow of evening settles in, there's something comforting about a path that lights the way home. Imagine walking through your small garden as the ground begins to shimmer softly, not from store-bought lamps, but from bottles you once thought were trash. Clear plastic, gently glowing with warm light, now tracing the edges of your walkway like a quiet constellation on Earth. These bottle edge lights are more than decoration. They are an act of transformation, a reminder that even the simplest materials can bring beauty and peace. Making them is simple. Take clean bottles, remove the labels, and place small solar lights or warm LED strings inside. Bury the bases slightly into the soil so they stand steady, then line them along your garden path. For a softer touch, paint them with pastel shades or frosted finishes. They'll scatter the light more gently, like moonlight across water. As the evening deepens, you'll notice how the glow reflects on the leaves and stones, how it invites you to slow down, to walk a little more mindfully. There's a certain poetry in it, light born from waste, shining not to impress, but to soothe. You might find yourself sitting by the path, watching the bottles flicker as fireflies drift nearby, realizing that peace doesn't need perfection. It just needs a small spark, a few bottles, and your quiet care. In the end, these lights won't just guide your steps. They'll remind you that every piece of trash holds the potential to illuminate something beautiful, even the dark corners of your own backyard. In a world that moves too quickly, there's something grounding about creating beauty with your own hands. Picture a small garden table, sunlight spilling over the surface, and a row of flower pots, not bought, but born, from scraps of old fabric and forgotten containers. Each pot wears its own story: a piece of denim from an old pair of jeans, a scrap of linen from a tablecloth, a touch of burlap once used to carry rice. Together, they hold colors of life: petunias, daisies, lavender, blooming with quiet confidence. What makes these pots special isn't perfection, but the warmth of imperfection. You don't need a workshop or new materials. Just wrap your old fabrics around empty cans or plastic containers, tie them with rope or twine, and let their wrinkles and stitches show. If you brush a little white paint along the edges, it gives a soft rustic charm that fits beautifully in both modern patios and cozy backyard corners. Over time, you'll notice how the fabric changes. The sun will fade it, the rain will soften it, and somehow, it becomes even more beautiful. These little details make your garden feel alive, touched by human stories rather than factory polish. The act of making them is almost meditative. You press the soil, plant the seeds, water them, and in return, they bloom. Each flower reminds you that sustainability isn't just about saving the planet. It's about slowing down, about finding meaning in things others throw away. So when you see those old clothes again, don't think of waste. Think of colors, textures, and the gentle satisfaction of giving life a second chance. Because sometimes, all beauty needs is a bit of imaginati. There's something poetic about light finding its way through color. Imagine a quiet patio corner, once dull, now alive with reflections of blue, green, and amber, dancing softly across the walls. What you're looking at isn't glass or luxury art. It's made from what most people throw away, the bottoms of plastic bottles, hand-painted and arranged into patterns that glow like sunlight through stained glass. Each bottle piece catches the day differently. In the morning, they shimmer gently. By afternoon, they blaze with warmth. And when dusk falls, their colors deepen into something almost nostalgic. This is creativity at its purest, transforming waste into beauty with nothing but patience, a brush, and imagination. To make this kind of wall art, you don't need much. Gather bottles of various colors, cut the bottoms carefully, and paint them with acrylic hues that suit your mood. Soft pastels for calm, or bright tones for joy. Mount them onto a wooden board or directly on the wall of your patio. You can even weave a bit of wire or add small lights behind them for evenings when you want your garden to glow. The magic of this idea is that it's endlessly personal. Every pattern tells a story. Maybe a flower, maybe the rhythm of waves, or maybe something abstract that only you understand. It's your imagination, frozen in color. And when visitors stop by and smile, you'll see it. The quiet pride of having built beauty with your own hands, from things the world forgot. Sometimes, art doesn't belong in museums. It lives here, in the corners of your backyard, where light meets kindness and old plastic learns to shine again. There's a kind of joy that only the wind understands. The way it moves gently through leaves, whispers between branches, and dances with the smallest things. In this backyard, the wind has found new partners. Wind spinners made from plastic bottles and old pieces of fabric. They twist, turn, and shimmer under the sunlight, bringing movement and laughter to every quiet corner of the garden. Each spinner is a story of transformation. What was once a discarded bottle now spins freely in the breeze, and what was once a forgotten scrap of cloth now flutters with life. Together, they turn the ordinary into something joyful, a living artwork that never stands still. Making one is as simple as it is satisfying. Cut a clean bottle into spiral shapes, paint the surface with bright or pastel colors, and tie long strips of fabric to the ends. You can hang them from a tree branch, a pergola, or even along a garden fence. The secret is balance. Don't make them too heavy. Let the air play with them, not fight against them. As the day changes, so does their rhythm. In the morning they sway softly, in the afternoon they twirl fast and playful, and by evening they move slowly, catching the last rays of the sun. Their motion feels almost alive, like laughter carried on the breeze. These little spinners remind us that happiness doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes, it's a flash of color turning quietly in the wind, made by your own hands, powered by nothing but nature itself. So let the wind in, and let it carry your creativity with it. In a quiet backyard where morning light gently kisses the soil, something simple yet meaningful stands, a fence made entirely of old plastic bottles. It doesn't try to impress, it just exists in quiet harmony, keeping the small vegetable garden safe while reminding us that even waste can protect life. The bottles glisten faintly under the sun, filled with sand or soil, forming a transparent line that frames rows of green, lettuce, chili, and tomatoes growing steadily in their place. There's beauty in this simplicity. Each bottle, once discarded, now has purpose again. It's easy to make too. Clean the bottles, remove the labels, and fill them halfway with sand or small stones for weight. Bury them slightly into the soil, side by side, and watch how they reflect light during the day and dew at dawn. If you like a rustic touch, paint them in earthy tones to blend naturally with the plants. What makes this fence special isn't just how it looks, but what it means. It's sustainable, practical, and accessible. A reminder that you don't need expensive materials to build something useful. When you walk by, you can hear the soft sound of the wind brushing through the bottles, like a quiet song between earth and air. Over time, as the plants grow taller and the bottles fade under the sun, the fence becomes part of the landscape, humble, handmade, and alive. And when someone asks where you bought it, you can smile and say, "I didn't buy it. I built it from things the world wanted to throw away." Because sometimes, the most beautiful gardens are the ones that teach us how to reuse, reimagine, and return kindness to the earth, one bottle at a time. As the sun slowly slips behind the horizon, a soft glow begins to bloom across a tiny patio, not from store-bought lamps, but from bottles once destined for the trash. Each one hangs gently from above, wrapped in linen, burlap, or cotton, glowing like small suns captured in glass. The light they cast isn't harsh. It's warm, golden, the kind of light that makes you pause, breathe, and feel at home. Creating them is simpler than their beauty suggests. All you need are a few clear bottles, cleaned and cut with care, some old fabric for wrapping, and a string of LED lights. Tie each bottle with rope or twine, let them hang at different heights, and suddenly, your small patio feels alive. If you choose lighter fabrics, like cream or beige, the glow becomes softer and more natural, perfect for late-night tea or quiet talks under the stars. What makes these bottle lights special is how they blend warmth with simplicity. They don't try to overpower the night, they simply add a whisper of peace to it. The fabric diffuses the glow like candlelight through silk, turning even the smallest corner into a place of comfort. And when the evening breeze moves them ever so slightly, the light seems to dance, a gentle reminder that beauty doesn't have to be loud to be felt. It can come from something as ordinary as a bottle, as humble as a piece of cloth, as timeless as light itself. So next time you sit in your tiny patio, surrounded by these glowing bottles, let the quiet warmth remind you that serenity is often handmade, softly lit, and found in places we least expect. In the quiet of early morning, before the world fully wakes, a soft flutter of wings brings life to the air. A pair of small sparrows perched gently on a handmade feeder, a simple creation of fabric and an old plastic bottle, swaying lightly in the breeze. The sound of their beaks tapping against the seeds is almost like a melody, a reward for your kindness and creativity. There's something beautifully simple about this project. It doesn't take a big garden or special tools. Just a bottle, a piece of fabric, some rope, and a handful of seeds. Wrap the bottle with cloth, maybe a floral pattern, maybe plain linen, something soft that feels like home. Tie it securely, cut small openings for the birds, and hang it where they can visit safely. The fabric gives warmth and color, while the clear plastic keeps the seeds visible, inviting little visitors all day long. You can place it near your window, on a small patio, or under a tree branch if you're lucky enough to have one. Watch how nature responds. Birds you've never noticed before will come quietly, one by one. They'll bring with them a rhythm of peace, a reminder that even in small spaces, life finds a way to flourish. And in that moment, as the birds gather and the sunlight filters through the leaves, you'll realize this is more than just recycling. It's a gift, to nature, to yourself, to the gentle mornings that begin with gratitude. Because sometimes, the best things we build are the ones that feed not only others, but our own sense of wonder. In every garden, there's a quiet dialogue between nature and imagination. Some express it through flowers, others through stones or trees. But here, creativity speaks through humble things, old bottles and pieces of fabric. From waste, they rise again, not as trash, but as art. Sculptures of flowers, birds, and whimsical shapes bloom between real plants, each one swaying softly in the afternoon breeze. You don't need to be an artist to create them. You just need to see differently. Look at an empty bottle and imagine its curve as the stem of a flower. Cut the plastic carefully, paint it with bright or pastel tones, and let strips of fabric flow like petals or wings. Every imperfection makes it more beautiful, because these sculptures are meant to feel alive, not perfect. Tie them to thin wooden sticks or hang them near garden beds, where sunlight can touch them. When the wind passes, the fabric moves like a living part of the garden. The magic lies in how they blend with life around them. Butterflies may rest on them, birds may mistake them for blooms. Children will see colors dance, adults will smile and remember what it's like to play. Over time, the fabric will fade, the bottles may weather, and that's all right. It means your garden has lived with them, shared its seasons with your creation. This kind of art doesn't need a frame or a gallery. It belongs to the open air, to the soil, to the light that shifts every day. And when you walk through your garden and see those colors shining between the greens, you'll know that beauty can come from anything, even from what the world decides to throw away. The earth teaches us patience. Plants don't rush, they simply grow, one drop of water at a time. In this small garden, that lesson takes shape through a quiet rhythm. Bottles turned upside down, each one releasing a slow and steady drip into the soil. What was once waste now becomes a lifeline, a recycled bottle transformed into a gentle caretaker for every leaf and root. This simple drip irrigation system is more than clever. It's a conversation between you and your plants. All it takes is a few empty bottles, clean and clear. Pierce tiny holes in the cap, fill the bottle with water, then place it upside down beside the roots. The water seeps gradually, feeding the plants drop by drop, the perfect balance of simplicity and purpose. It's a small effort with lasting results, especially during warm days when the soil dries too quickly. You can even customize it. Use different bottle sizes for herbs or vegetables, or bury them deeper for slower release. Some gardeners add a pinch of fertilizer to the water for an extra touch of nourishment. It's smart, sustainable, and surprisingly soothing to watch. There's something peaceful about the way each drop falls, deliberate, patient, almost meditative. It reminds us that growth doesn't need extravagance, it just needs consistency and care. In this garden, every bottle hums softly with life, keeping the soil moist, the plants green, and your heart quietly proud. In the end, it's not just a DIY project, it's a way of listening to nature. You give it your hands, and it gives you back something beautiful. The slow, steady proof that sustainability can bloom right where you stand. Sometimes, the smallest corners hold the greatest potential for beauty. Imagine stepping into a tiny garden where every bottle has found new purpose, wrapped gently in soft fabric, blooming with life. The morning light touches the patterned cloth, stripes, florals, and earthy tones, and suddenly, the space feels alive, personal, and full of quiet charm. This DIY idea turns recycling into art. Old bottles, once empty and forgotten, become elegant planters when wrapped with fabric. It's a process both simple and satisfying. Clean the bottles, cut them if you wish for shorter pots, then wrap them with any leftover fabric, cotton, linen, even old scarves. A bit of glue or rope will keep the material in place, and the result is something that feels handmade yet refined. These planters fit perfectly in small spaces, on shelves, balconies, or windowsills. You can plant herbs for your kitchen, trailing ivy for softness, or bright flowers to add color to your mornings. The fabric adds warmth to the coldness of plastic, transforming it into something almost timeless. Over time, the fabric will fade slightly under the sun, giving your garden that rustic charm that only age can bring. What makes this project truly special is how personal it becomes. Each bottle carries your choice of color, texture, and story. Together, they create not just a garden, but a reflection of you. your creativity, your patience, your quiet love for small, meaningful things. And when you stand there, watering your plants under the soft glow of sunlight, you'll feel it. The peace that comes from creating something beautiful, from nothing more than fabric, bottles, and care. Because sometimes, elegance isn't bought. It's crafted, slowly, by hand, with heart.